And the question is, why is nobody talking about this airline?
China Airlines is one of the most underrated carriers out there, with incredible service, modern cabins and unbeatable comfort. From the service to the sea, it rivals the best, but somehow it's still flying under the radar. So why aren't more people talking about this airline?
This would just have to be our little secret. Last night I made a rookie mistake. I should listen to my body, I felt exhausted, but I still decided to go out. Unfortunately I've woken up with a cold, so I'm really excited to fly China Airlines, but I feel a bit meh. Let's go.
I didn't know at this moment, but the peak of my cold was 2 days away, and that the next 4 days would pretty much be spent in bed. Lesson learned: when you're tired, make sure you sleep, and don't ignore exhaustion. On the plus side, my hotel is less than 10 minutes away from Taipei's international airport, and my flight over to Jakarta operates from Terminal 1. And with Taipei being the home of China Airlines, there was barely any queue at the check-in desks, with check-in taking no more than 5 minutes. It's just worth noting that there are 2 terminals, well, currently, with the airport building a third, and China Airlines operates from both. So to be sure to check your confirmation email because it was very hard to find online. With immigration taking a spectacular similar amount of time to the check-in, we're heading to the China Airlines lounge. Now even if you're someone who's familiar with airline lounges, if you haven't already looked this one up, there isn't much to prepare you for the China Airlines lounge in Terminal 1. I admit I didn't look it up before arriving, partly because I was feeling a bit ill. But the design and the lighting are enough to make even the most distracted person mutter a wow. In my own words, it sort of feels a little bit like the Flintstones meets a low-lit furniture store. Hopefully that makes some kind of sense. Lots of grey sofas are divided up using old school light bulbs, with the walls and the ceilings appearing to be treated concrete. It certainly does make you feel relaxed, with the only issue being there probably isn't a large enough amount of space, and I struggled to find milk for my tea. Even the toilets, which are about a minute away, feel like tiny log cabins, and they even have those posh toilets that do all sorts of things to your backside. I'm not quite sure how I feel about the lounge. It's certainly interesting for the senses, but I can't hang out here too long because boarding time is approaching.
That was definitely an experience. I love the fact there's mood lighting there, which makes it quite relaxed. I just don't think there was enough seats in there. Anyway, I'm heading towards the flight. Let's have a look at today's route map.
China Airlines 761 departs at 9:05, taking 5 hours and 30 minutes, with Jakarta 2,373 miles away. Usually I would be more than happy to spend such a long time on a plane, but the back of my throat feels quite scratchy and the humidity on the plane is sure not to help. When it comes to the boarding process, China Airlines breaks it down into 2 separate queues, with one for economy class and a separate one for business class and Sky Priority. With some fairly good views out the window over the Airbus A350-900, we're flying on today over to Jakarta. China Airlines has 28 in the fleet, as well as Boeing 777-300s and A330s for their high capacity or long haul operations. Unfortunately, it wasn't mentioned until after the boarding time had come and gone, we would be delayed by 10 minutes, which is hardly much to complain about, giving me longer to consider what to talk about on board. So let's dive right into the seat map. When it comes to China Airlines Business Class on the Airbus A350, there are no bad seats, no lavatories nearby to make lots of sounds or smells, so it's a simple choice between the window or the centre. The only seat worth noting is 18 Alpha and Kilo, because they lack a second window, which could be a positive if you're sensitive to light or severely jet lagged.
This is a really beautiful seat. I love the little light, which looks like it's got some kind of claw. The wood detailing is really nice as well. And the seat in general is just really plush. It's the Super Diamond seat, which you probably recognise from so many other airlines, but that's because it's really popular because it makes good use of the space.
Reverse herringbone means that they're angled towards the centre of the plane or the window, which really helps with privacy, and they come with 21 inches of width between the armrests and 78 inches of length in the flat mode, and they just look really beautiful. I don't know who chose the detailing, but the silver pattern on the seat surround looks extremely premium and elegant, and it did a great job to avoid bland or dark colours, which can feel extremely corporate. The Super Diamond seat has two bamboo-esque style storage compartments, which are common with the seat design, with a larger housing the control for the in-flight entertainment, and also a USB-A port and universal plug socket, and it's fairly deep. Apparently, the taller the ceiling, the more welcoming and happy the environment feels, so China Airlines opted not to have the overhead bins in the centre. It certainly does make the space feel more open and airy, but on a very full flight it can become a bit of a juggling act to find space above the window seats. They also decided not to fit overhead nozzles, so the temperature of the cabin is at the mercy of the cabin crew. Today's flight was actually a little bit cold for my already sensitive nose, so after dinner I spent the majority of the flight under the blanket. Today's flight is only about 50% full in the front cabin, and even if it wasn't, the seats are still fairly private because they're staggered.
So to start off, we have this juice. I'm not sure what it is, but maybe watermelon, possibly. And a hot tub.
A small selection of other drinks are also available, as well as a pair of slippers, a blanket, and this very shiny champagne coloured pillow.
So welcome to the loo on the A350. If you can hear me because the music is really loud. This is a first on airplane, I've never seen this before.
It certainly does make the bathroom feel a little bit more classy, and only seems to activate once the door is locked. Otherwise it's quite a nice space with different textures and colours, and products from Moroccan oil. Not feeling my best today, it's going to be about binge watching feel-good Pixar movies. I'm happy to report that headphones feel premium, sat on the ear really nicely, and they did well to cancel out exterior sound, even if the Airbus A350 is extremely quiet. China Airlines has a 17-inch HD display, and it's fairly pleasing with the pink icon floating around the home screen, with the main interface being pleasantly simple to use, although much like Saudia a few days ago, they seem to follow the same idea. Plug the system with plenty of movies while leaving the TV series a little bit empty. It would have been nice to see a few more titles. When you travel so frequently, it's hard to find new content, so I defaulted to the movie Despicable Me, which I guess is kind of a kids film, but it's plugged full of comedy adults will enjoy, and it's funny and sad in different places. I do like the embossed lilac menu, with the cool reflective silver letters. It's rather eye-catching. Now usually you would expect the food from the hub airports, so Taipei to Jakarta, to be better than the outstations, but oddly, and this is maybe my personal preference, I prefer the meal service from Jakarta. From Jakarta, the canapé consisted of Indonesian seafood satay skewers, with a delicious chili sauce. The equivalent on the route from Taipei was smoked salmon puffs with Japanese cod roe and a cheese omelette. It was reasonably presented, but I do feel like there's room for improvement. China Airlines uses the same menu for both directions, with different options, so for comparison, here's what was available on the route from Taipei. I admit I've skipped ahead, and before the canapé even arrives, the cabin crew deliver a pack of mixed nuts, and your first choice of drink, feeling that an oolong tea will soothe my throat. I also highly recommend the passion fruit lemon cocktail, which was pre-mixed with vodka, passion fruit liqueur, and fresh lemon, and it's absolutely delicious. While the oolong blackcurrant cocktail is a little intense and less sweet, it's perhaps more of an acquired taste. And it does state in the menu that they only carry a limited amount, so be sure to order these early on. By the time the main meal was served, I had now moved on to Mario Brothers, which again is a classic for those who used to play the games all those years ago. For the appetizer, you have Cherry Valley, duck and scallop salad. I didn't really care for the mustard sauce, which seemed a bit intense for fish, followed by the grilled chicken with port sauce served with herb roasted potatoes. It was pretty good. Unlike the flight from Jakarta, the bread was pre-picked instead of asking what you'd prefer, garlic bread. But being totally honest, the crew from Jakarta seemed very eager to please, happy and really upbeat, while the purser on the return flight pointed out Taipei 101 and was really interactive. While the lady that served me was in no way rude and she was really proactive, but I felt like she could probably do with a few more hours sleep. After the meal service, I continued to watch the movie for as long as I could, before feeling a sudden overwhelming feeling of tiredness. Being dark in the cabin, here's what it would look like to recline the chair fully, in the light. It's extremely comfortable and the blanket provided is large, so that when you change sides if you're a sideways sleeper, you don't suddenly feel a cold chill. With an hour to go, I was considering the flight, and while it wasn't as good as the outbound, this is a great way to travel, even if there were very small inconsistencies, which is why I'm still a bit confused why this airline isn't more talked about.
So it has been a few weeks. I'm actually flying Starlux tomorrow, which is their competitor, and I'm just thinking about the flight I had with China Airlines. Interestingly, I preferred the flight from Jakarta and not so much from Taipei. Let's discuss.
Even when considering just how crappy I was feeling on the second flight, I still don't think the return flight was as good. So what caused this? The meal choices on both routes were, I hope you can agree, good looking and delivered on flavour. I just personally prefer the option from Jakarta. On the drinks menu, all the usual suspects were there, but it's their exclusive China Airlines only cocktails which really helped set them apart, even if the oolong blackcurrant is a little bit love it or hate it kind of scenario. This feels a little bit like an easy necessity now, just given how good their competitor Starlux's signature drink looks and tastes. Even the most jet-lagged traveller might feel compelled to open the camera on their phone, just to post your Instagram account just to make Susan at number 5 back home jealous. Moving on to the in-flight entertainment, I found plenty of choice, even if the TV shows could use a few more titles. So really, it comes down to the crew, because a plane without a crew is just a seat in a metal tube ride. The persons on both flights were really engaging and interactive, but I could just tell that the cabin crew that served me, unfortunately on the flight I was reviewing, were extremely tired. Now I can totally relate to that as someone who's suffering from jet lag, a random sleeping pattern and a rather annoying common cold. I have a great respect for the cabin crew given how exhausting their job must be. I still think that despite this, China Airlines is one of my favourite airlines, and I'm really in love with the fate it would affect on the seat and just how private and comfortable it is. I really hope you enjoyed the video as much as I did flying it, and we have a few more exciting Asia-based carriers coming up this year. Until then, safe travels.